Welcome to Zazzle Chat. Today we're going to be talking about paper. We're going to explain exactly what the paper breakout is and what we actually did. But before we get too much further, I want to reintroduce my guest, Megan.
Hi.
Last time you saw Megan, she was probably talking about apparel. She's she's our category director now, and so she helps manage which products we bring to the site.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I was just talking to Megan earlier. So 10 years ago, how much online shopping did you do?
Next to none.
I just started. I think I bought like a computer battery because it was cheaper. I bought it off like eBay.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah. I might have bought something off Craigslist.
Yeah. Back in the day when Zazzle first launched, we only had a couple product types and we didn't have as many designs as we do now. And in the past 10 years, Zazzle has obviously evolved. We've launched many new products. We have so many more designs that's making our marketplace a lot more robust. But let's take another step back and think about a grocery store. I know, Megan, you love to cook.
Love it.
You probably go to the grocery store 2 or 3 times a week, probably not always the same one. But most grocery stores are set up in like frozen foods are in a section, vegetables, dairy.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to navigate.
So even if you haven't ever been to to that particular grocery store, if you had to go in and get eggs, it's pretty easy to come in and out.
Yes.
Whereas if grocery stores were set up where all flat objects were in a section, if all round objects were in a section, if all cylindrical objects were in a section, it would be a lot harder, to navigate and go in.
You don't shop by shape in a grocery store.
So that's actually what Zazzle used to be. We would have, a product type that's all the same shape, but the design is different, and mostly for paper. We're talking about paper specific, but paper itself is just a flat sheet of paper, but the design can change the purpose of the paper product. So that's why we're doing this paper breakout, is to make it easier for our customers to shop on our site. To make this a little more tangible, I'm going to show you this slide. So right now, Zazzle Invitations is just our blanket default flat card, right?
Yeah, which we've had for a long time. It's been very successful, but we've noticed the creativity of our design community is much broader than just invites. So just to take a look at this slide, there's so many different products within invites that actually aren't invites today.
So an invite itself is like you would invite someone to a party or a wedding. So it's specifically invite, but what we're seeing announcements, advice cards, holiday cards, recipe cards, menus, programs, stationery notes, and even game cards all on the same product type, which is great because customers are loving it and they're buying it, but it's becoming harder and harder to differentiate and show and surface product types when they're designing. So in the paper breakout, in a nutshell, we're actually breaking out the product types so it becomes easier for customers to shop and honestly easier for designers to design, because we're going to give you more tools, more in situs, and better copy so that you can kind of market your own product types.
And for the consumer, it's a more authentic offering, right? So for menus, for instance, if you designed a menu, a consumer who purchases that doesn't need to actually have envelopes shipped with that order as well. So we want to make sure the actual offering behind all of these product types are authentic to what the consumer expects.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why we're updating the prototype. Just to quickly kind of run through that, we're evolving our customer tree, our department tree. And by breaking out the product types, we'll be able to match the different products to the departments better.
Yeah, we're also doing some manufacturing changes. So I mentioned having an authentic offering, and that impacts how we actually fulfill these orders. So manufacturing's been working with us to make sure that we have the right shapes and sizes and product types and default quantities and set quantities set to what we want.
From a product copies perspective, we can now break out we can be more specific when we describe the paper, as opposed to just saying, this flat this flat sheet of paper is great. We can say this holiday card is great, and it will help us in both SEO and SEM perspectives.
Yeah, and overall, along with the product copy, we'll update the photography as well. So there's much more context that you're seeing on the product page. So I mentioned the menu. So what if we had a fork actually next to that product versus an invitation? Maybe you don't need the fork there, right?
Yeah, and from a marketing perspective, since I work in marketing, it really helps with our promotional activities. If we're discounting business cards, we can just discount business cards as opposed to all flat paper products, which we're giving a margin away. So this really helps us specify and nail in on promotional offerings.
Yeah, so definitely a ton of reasons for this update, and we wanted to make sure you guys were aware of all the changes as well.
Now that you know why we actually did the paper breakout, we're going to explain what we actually did, because this was not a short project.
Still going.
It's still going. We're still working on a lot of things, but we want to let you know the effort and everything that went into it, so that hopefully your lives, our lives, and most importantly, our customers' lives are easier and will help increase the overall shoppability of Zazzle. So we deep dived into some of our largest product lines, dating back in early 2000s. But I know that your team really looked at kind of what content was sold, what designs were sold, what designs customers were buying, what they were searching for on site. So there's a lot of different data points that were.
Yeah, and actually we didn't just look at what sold, because we still think a lot of things have potential that just hasn't been tapped yet. So what we did is actually for Zazzle Invitation, for example, we actually did a lot of analysis through the keywords that our designers tagged their products with. And we actually used some machine learning to actually understand some of the images of the designs, to understand what the content was. And then just honestly a lot of manual human eyes, just to look at all of the designs out there and really begin to segment all of the content that we had in a given product type, so we could actually then think about launching new product types around each of those segments. Quite a bit of effort and still underway, but well worth it, I believe.
Yeah, and then another thing we updated is the photography. I think that's something that's very easily noticeable, but from a visualization perspective, we took a different approach so that you can really see the texture and the color of the paper, and also we're trying to give context to the size as well. So I think our new photography does that a lot better than just having it on a white canvas.
Yeah, and I think you guys have probably seen a lot of the new launches have just this elevated aesthetic. And now we're actually taking a look at some of these older products and making sure that our standards are just as high for those. I think is really exciting.
Yeah, and we're working towards developing suites, and we have collections now. But if you look at our Zazzle Invitation product, right? We sell them as wedding menus, or now we can be able to provide like a fork or a napkin to really continue to elevate that photography. And that makes it easier for you designers to really bring your design to life.
Yeah, I think the context is critical here, just from a consumer to really understand very quickly what the product is, because you only have their mind for half a second, right? And you want to make sure that that design really pops on the page.
Exactly. Another example is our business card designs, where we saw them being used as mommy Playdate cards. Can you explain what a mommy Playdate card is? I don't have any kids.
I don't have kids, but I have a dog. But yeah, moms will print out these cards, little business card sizes, and hand them out to other parents, or give them to their kid to hand out to other kids to say, call this number for a play date with Jacob, for instance. Great use case on our business card product type, but we sell those in packs of 100, right? So I imagine if somebody was wanting to buy a mommy Playdate card, maybe they'd only want 25 or so. So another kind of authentic offering around this new product type to really kind of make sure it's selling well.
Yeah, so stepping back, we analyzed a lot of the design content, and that is published on some of our larger product type. Invitation's only one example. We also had many other different product types. And then we're able to segment and convert those into new product types. And so it took a lot of time because we had to launch the new product types, but also the migration of the designs to the new product types were a lot of work as well.
Yeah, so part of that analyzing and understanding the content was part of the migration effort. So just as you mentioned, we launched a new product type around, say, flat menu, and took all of those designs and migrated them to that new product type. So, once we start to launch new departments within a department tree, we can effectively map those designs accordingly.
So in total, how many new product types did we launch?
33 in total.
Yeah, so if you see our normal cadence, we launch a couple products maybe a month. We used to launch more, sometimes less, but 33 in one go, it was a lot. And especially kind of queuing, and these are all internal products that our internal team in Reno, Nevada is now doing. So we had to do a lot of testing with them as well. And by doing this, we're able to break up the product types and offer, for example, different quantities that match the product type better.
Yeah, so there's a lot of subtleties that I think we'll probably try to recap in another forum, but everything from changes in envelopes to changes in sets and default quantities, everything has been scrutinized just to make sure the offering is on par with what a customer expects.
Yeah. And lastly, a lot of the work has also been for our new department tree, or our continually evolving department tree, so that the ultimate goal is easier for our customers to shop and have a better experience when they shop on Zazzle. We gave you guys a lot of information today. Hopefully you guys can take some time to digest it and it makes sense to you. Ultimately, our goal is to make it easier for customers to shop and easier for you guys, for your designs to surface on the right product types. This has been a fun project.
Still underway, and I think we have more communication to share, and we're eager to hear from you as well.
So stay tuned next time as we will break down exactly what this means to you guys as our designers and what next steps you guys can take to make your store a success on Zazzle.